Now,
on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
O'Connor and Company.
6:06 now as we chug along this very, very busy Friday morning in your nation's capital. Coming up on this program at 7:05, Jay Green of Heritage. He'll push back on George Mason, claiming they don't have a DEI problem. At 7:35, Andy Biggs will push back on Democrats, claiming that there's no evidence for an impeachment hearing on Joe Biden. At 7:45, Bram Weinstein is going to push back on Philly fans, Eagles fans, who claim that they're going to beat the Commanders. You think I can keep this up? You bet I can. 8:05, Teresa Summers from Summers Farm will push back on all of you, thinking that there's nothing to do in this area now that we're in fall time.
That's a lot of pushback today, Larry.
All the pushback. 8:35, Brett Baer, Fox News Channel, will push back on, I don't know. He's going to push back on something. All right, I couldn't keep it up. You're right. It's Larry O'Connor pushing back against Patrice Onwuka. Hello, Patrice.
Hey, Larry. I'm not pushing back.
I'm constantly having to push back against you. You know who's having to push back right now is Loudoun County Board of Supervisors, who are continuing to be under fire over their use of taxpayer funds for junkets to Uruguay, where they rolled around on the beach, swam in the ocean, charged taxpayers thousands and thousands of dollars. Julie Briskman was one of those Loudoun County supervisors. They still can't tell us exactly why they needed to go to Uruguay, other than, they needed a break. It was a nice little vacation.
Yeah, they wanted a free taxpayer-funded vacation, by the way.
You'll remember, by the way, Julie Briskman's main qualification for running for Loudoun County Supervisors in the first place was that while on a bike ride, she saw the motorcade of President Donald Trump drive by, and she gave the president the finger.
Oh, that Julie.
Yeah.
Briskman.
She flipped off the president, and so,
yeah.
Of course, Democrats in Loudoun County
had
to put her on the county's list of Board of Supervisors. So now here she is running for re-election, and last night the issue came up at the debate. Take a listen, if you could.
In response to a constituent email asking for more information about her trip or vacation to Uruguay, Ms. Briskman responded angrily. This response alone should disqualify her from having this position going forward. She made inaccurate claims about where grapes were grown, her status as a foreign dignitary, and biased media. She said that because she didn't break any rule, she didn't do anything wrong. What she didn't address was the $100 overweight bag fee that she all charged to us. We can only assume that was for her souvenirs. This response was the height of entitlement. It demonstrated a shocking lack of shame or an ability to accept responsibility. She took a first-class trip to Uruguay while missing 2 public input sessions on the county budget in February. And yet she not only sees nothing wrong with it, but her immediate response was to be angry and blame others.
There you go. And by the way, you should see the body language
on her face.
Yeah, she
had a Hillary Clinton-esque scowl on her face.
and rolled her eyes.
She
rolled her eyes at the at the thought, oh, here we go, bringing up the trip to Uruguay, blah blah blah. She has no time for this. She has utter disdain for the citizens and taxpayers and voters of Loudoun County, and she still hasn't really answered for this at all. I love the response to a constituent who complained about it, and she said, well, I didn't break any rules, therefore I didn't do anything wrong. Oh, that's the new standard now.
Apparently, from all the way up to the White House, right? I mean, it's an embarrassment, and it speaks to her decision making, her whether she takes seriously her job or whether she just uses it to enrich herself by going on lavish trips that she punctuates with fake, duties as, oh, I'm an ambassador for this county, and we're going to have these agreements where we the city to city type of camaraderie and. But in the meantime, if she wanted to do that, she could have done that in coach rather than first class. If she wanted to do that,
and she could have done it with her own money.
With her own money on her own time. So, we see right through this. I think it was a good exchange. Well, it wasn't an exchange. It was a good showing of receipts by candidate Debbie Rose. Yeah. And I think it opens the door to potentially supporters of Julie Briskman saying, okay, wait, what, she did what? And then maybe they'll be open to understanding why her policies also are not good for the county.
If I may push back on Julie Briskman's concern or her contention that, hey, I didn't break the rules, so therefore I didn't do anything wrong. Okay, number one, that's yet to be determined because this needs to be investigated, and certainly they can't investigate themselves, which is how they would like it to be done. Number one. Number two, they did lie about this because they said, oh, we were working the entire time, and now we've seen pictures taken by a camera that they bought with taxpayer money.
Yes.
Of her staffers frolicking in the ocean.
That is exactly the word I was going to use. That came to my mind. Frolicking.
Frolicking. And that doesn't look like work. Listen, you and I, we have fun when we work, but it's still work, what we're doing.
Exactly.
We're not splashing around in the beach.
We didn't take an Uber XL here and charge it up to the boss. I mean,
Thank you.
We're not abusing the position and the power.
So, number one, she's lied about it, which suggests she is covering up the fact that this is not only politically damaging, but also a violation of the rules. But finally, we didn't break the rules, so we didn't do anything wrong. Who makes the rules? The County Board of Supervisors make the rules. Julie Briskman makes the rules. So she didn't break the rules that she and her colleagues, the Democrats on the County Board of Supervisors, set. And as public outrage for this junket on the taxpayers' expense was exposed by Nick Minnock, great reporting at WJLA, at the next County Board of Supervisors meeting, there was an outcry, we need a rule now to prevent this from happening, and the Democrats blocked it. They blocked it. So we would like the rules to say that you can't do this, Julie, and you and your pals blocked that rule from being instituted. So it's a really nice, tidy little scam they got going on there, and it's time to get rid of them. You're absolutely right. It was a great showing of receipts, and I implore you, go to Ian Pryor's Twitter there on X.com, because he's got an isolated video of her face as this is brought up, and she has such utter disdain for anyone who dares to question her regal. Listen, Ms. Briskman, I want to point out again, the entire reason that you're even holding elected office is because you happened to flip off Trump one day. I mean, that'll be on that'll be the first paragraph of your obituary. And I hope that you don't pass away for many, many decades. But we all die. And when you do, your main claim to fame is flipping off the bad orange man. Enjoy that. Dine out on it a little while longer, because it's not going to last.
It's not going to be short. It's short-lived. Just a quick aside on her. I'm looking back at an April article where it says here that she's been pushing for parental consent before SROs can stop students, those officers being in school. So I'm curious to see if she pushes for parental consent and other important issues facing families in the school systems. That's another good one to dig in on her.
What do you think?
I know, right?
It's 6:15 now. WMAL traffic and weather every 10 minutes. First on the 5s, here comes Jamie Whitten in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
WMAL.
Making sense of the news.
Live
from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios.
Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Stream us live online wherever you are, whenever you want. Download the new WMAL app today.
Well, as we reported yesterday, if you were trying to make something of yourself and achieve it, the highest level of the federal government as an elected official, and you thought that the fact that you just like to dress like a hobo every day was standing in your way, and then John Fetterman came along, you're like, oh, thank God, now I can be a senator and I can dress like a hobo. Well, sad news. The adults in the room actually voted down Chuck Schumer's capricious, single-minded attempt to throw decorum out the window and the serious nature of the Senate's jobs. We do have a dress code, and John Fetterman yesterday, look at him. He showed up to work in his big boy clothes. He's got long pants and even a tie. Is it a clip-on? It might be a clip-on.
Either way, doesn't
John
matter.
Fetterman dressed up like a little man instead of a boy. Good for him. He's really making progress, that senator.
I'm number one, thank goodness that there are adults in the room instead of Chuck Schumer, who is just doing an appeasement strategy to make sure that Fetterman always votes the way he wants him to. But I just busted out laughing, Larry, when I saw this Babylon Bee photo.
It's classic.
It is amazing. It says, Fetterman abides by Senate dress code with new formal hoodie. And it is a hoodie that has like a suit and tie painted onto it.
Right.
And actually, I could see Fetterman going out and finding this thing.
Yeah, that's right. You remember that there was always that kid in high school who would wear the T-shirt that it's got like the stenciled on tuxedo, bow tie, and jacket.
For picture day. You say dress up, all right, this is me dressing up.
For picture day, that's right. John Fetterman's dressed up for picture day, and he's got his formal hoodie now.
So here's what I think. Chad Pergram over at Fox News, he's a congressional reporter. He said that this is the first time we've seen him, Fetterman, back in a suit. However, there are reports that when speaking to reporters, he was in the hallway. He was in a hoodie and shorts. So I'm guessing he probably just keeps this hood, this suit in his office.
Yeah.
And then whenever he has to go on the Senate floor, go and pull it on. But that's going to start to smell real quick.
Oh,
that's going to start to stink real quick if that's what he's doing.
It can't stink as bad as the hoodie. I mean,
yeah, well, that's a good point too.
Yeah, well, we'll have to watch that. I do want to see. You're right. Okay, so let's make a note of this. It's
okay.
The tie is like a metallic. I want to call it royal blue. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's a dark suit. So the next time we see Fetterman wearing a suit, let's see if it's the exact same tie. It's a dark suit. Looks like it's like. Would you call that a dark navy, or is that's a black suit?
It could be navy. It's hard to tell from the image, but. But listen, he actually looks more handsome when he's wearing a suit. He looks more professional, rather than Come on now. Even
I don't know if I would use the word. He definitely looks more professional. I mean, that's a low bar compared
for him. Yeah.
Handsome.
Well, I mean,
are you
for
really
him,
going to use the handsome?
I'm saying for him, handsome for him. Right, everybody has a handsome for them level of attractiveness for themselves, and so you know it dials up or down based on how your overall appearance looks.
By the way, one quick thing: all the reports suggest that Democrat Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia is getting all the credit for pushing back on this, and okay, I guess he did, and I'm glad he finally found something that he had to push back on. Pushback is the phrase for the hour. Can I just say, and all you West Virginia voters who are now contemplating whether to send Joe Manchin back for 6 more years, because he's not like those other Democrats. He's one of us. Can I please? This is what he draws the line in the sand over. He couldn't find the gumption and courage to stand up to Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden over the Inflation Reduction Act, which basically was the Green New Deal.
Yes.
In disguise, that absolutely destroys the energy business in West Virginia. That he acquiesced on. That he knuckled under on. That he went ahead and voted for when he could have stopped it. But no, he went along with what Schumer and Biden demanded. But no, finally he drew a line in the sand. No more hoodies. What a towering man of virtue and principle. We're not fooled anymore, Joe Manchin.
2 p.m. on WMAL.
It's 6:27 now. Elon Musk traveled to the southern border, and he live streamed it, actually. In fact, he's been incredibly active talking about the border. He tweeted out also the border crisis is worse every day. New York City buckling under the load already. He's really focused on this. A part of this is because, the Justice Department is going after Tesla because Tesla has said that for certain jobs that they're hiring, they only want to hire American citizens. And Justice Department is angry at them for that.
Well, yeah, the Democrats right now are saying that illegal immigrants should be used to work American jobs that Americans don't want.
Yeah. Let's go to cut 7 first. This is Elon Musk at the border, meeting with officials there, Border Patrol agents. Watch.
Obviously, Elon here. I'm at Eagle Pass, just arrived, and we're just going to go around and talk to the major officials and law enforcement and whatnot that are here and just kind of eyeball the situation, get a sense for what's going on, and so you can get the kind of like the real story. This is real time, unfiltered, there's no preconditions, no nothing. This is what you see is what I see.
Yeah, that's the fun part of it. And by the way, what we all saw was people crossing the border illegally, one after another, like a whole stream of them. Here's a little bit more.
I am, as an immigrant to the United States, I'm extremely pro-immigrant. And I believe that we need a greatly expanded legal immigration system, and that we should let anyone in the country who is hardworking and honest and will be a contributor to the United States, we should have expedited legal approval for anyone who sort of falls in that category. But then by the same token, we should also not be allowing people in the country if they're breaking the law. That doesn't make sense. The law is there for a reason.
Oh, well, that's controversial right there.
Sadly. It's so interesting. I'm glad that he's shining a light on this, because obviously some networks are blindly turning an eye to it and frankly exposing the Biden administration's flat out lie that the southern border is under control and closed. It's not.
Obviously a reason why Secretary Mayorkas should be impeached. But first, we're going to deal with the impeachment inquiry of Joe Biden, and we'll give you the highlights next.
WMAL-FM Woodbridge 1.
Warmer for the upcoming weekend. I'm 7 News meteorologist Eileen Whalen.
Right now it is 61 in Arlington, 59 in Olney, 62 at Reagan National. I'm John Matthews on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Now
On News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
O'Connor and Company.
It is 6:36. It's O'Connor and Company on this super busy Friday morning. We got a lot to catch up on. Mere seconds from now, we'll give you the highlights of yesterday's impeachment hearing, the impeachment inquiry hearing on Capitol Hill. Coming up at 7:05, Jay Green with Heritage on DEI showing up in Virginia's public universities, including George Mason. 7:35, Representative Andy Biggs, who was there yesterday on the impeachment inquiry. 7:45, Bram Weinstein. He's going to tell us how the Commanders are going to fare against the Eagles. At 8:05, Teresa Summers of Summers Farm. Talk about everything going on out there this fall. It's fall. Get out there, pick a pumpkin. And then at 8:35, Brett Baer, Fox News Channel. We're also, by the way, Patrice Onwuka. Good morning, Patrice.
Hey, happy Friday, Larry.
Thank you. You're going to hear from Mercedes Schlapp and Sean Spicer in the 8 o'clock hour.
You guys had a Thursday last night, right?
It was a late night at the Birchmere as we were celebrating the glorious yacht rock phenomenon sweeping the nation with Yachtly Crew, America's premier yacht rock cover band. I can't even say it.
I love it.
It was a great concert. It was a great night. So Mercedes and Sean will tell us how much of a fool I made of myself singing and dancing.
Because you can't remember.
At the Birchmere. I remember. I just
okay.
I'm in denial. All right. Let's start with Chairman James Comer, the chairman of the Oversight Committee, who kicked things off yesterday. This is a historic day. By the way, we're going to play you quite a bit of what happened yesterday in the hearing. Excellent. Because if you rely on cable news or broadcast networks, you saw none of this. They had a news blackout. Now, understand something. Every single second of the inquiry into the impeachment of Donald Trump was played over and over, and it was streamed live. Then there was post hearing analysis, and
evening
there was
news
oh
coverage.
my God, it was a full court press. And yesterday, the propagandists in your corporate media world had a complete and total unanimous news blackout. It is, I mean, I'm sorry, they can't even hide it anymore. They're not even trying to hide it. So let's get to it. Here's James Comer, cut 10.
Since assuming our Republican majority in January, the House Oversight and Accountability Committee has uncovered a mountain of evidence revealing how Joe Biden abused his public office for his family's financial gain. For years, President Biden has lied to the American people about his knowledge of and participation in his family's corrupt business schemes.
That's right. Now, if you're a listener to this program, you know a lot of those lies, but many people probably still believe this BS that there's no evidence, and Joe Biden has not. Well, here Comer lays out at least 10 times that Biden has lied here.
At least 10 times, Joe Biden lied to the American people that he never spoke to his family about their business dealings. He lied by telling the American people that there was an absolute wall between his official government duties and his personal life. Let's be clear. There was no wall. The door was wide open to those who purchased what a business associate described as the Biden brand.
And in cut 12 here, James Comer lays out that not only did he lie about all of that, but he continued to say that he had no engagement with his son or any family members. And don't forget, at the debate, the presidential debate, just 10 days before Election Day, he claimed before the American people, before everyone, that neither he nor anyone in his family got any money from the Chinese. Well, Chairman Comer?
Evidence reveals that then Vice President Joe Biden spoke, dined, and developed relationships with his family's foreign business targets. These business targets include foreign oligarchs who sent millions of dollars to his family. It also includes a Chinese national who wired $250,000 to his son. Joe Biden also lied to the American people about his family making money in China. He continued to lie about it even when the House Oversight Committee uncovered bank wires, revealing how the Bidens received millions from Chinese companies with significant ties to Chinese intelligence and the Chinese Communist Party.
So, Patrice, I thought that Chairman Comer did a very good job of sort of meticulously laying out the evidence to push back on this notion that there is no evidence.
Yeah.
Now, you watched much more of the hearings than I did because I had many meetings yesterday. Please tell me there was at least one Democrat there who said, oh, well, now that I look at it, okay, yes, you're right, there is evidence.
No. What you had are a lot of stunts, political stunts that Democrats were doing. Kwesi Mfume from the Baltimore area, around our corner from here, he held up a sign. I think it said something about where is Giuliani. Are we going to sue Giuliani? It was like some stupid printout that his staff had just made.
Yeah.
You had others who were holding up lots of different ads, billboards, posters. In short, what I heard a lot of from the left was there's no check with Joe Biden's name on it. That's one argument. Right. Another is, well, there's a government shutdown and all of these babies are going to not have milk and moms are not going to feed their kids and your constituents are going to be hurt. So they kept pivoting back to the looming government closure or stoppage. Yeah. And then the third argument was, what about Donald Trump? So those are the only three things. They did one or two astute folks, semi-astute on the left, would say, well, what your key witness here, Jonathan Turley, Georgetown, right? Georgetown professor.
Yeah, George Washington.
George Washington professor. Sorry, George Washington professor. Well, he said there's not enough for an impeachment vote. So that's the only thing. But they left out the fact that he said, but there's more than enough for an inquiry, and we will see what comes of that inquiry. So they left that out.
Jonathan Turley, they did. They sliced up one quote of his. The little bit of coverage that you may have seen last night, certainly none of the live gavel-to-gavel coverage that we saw for Trump, but the little bit of coverage you may have seen was a complete lie. I saw this on CNN, Anderson Cooper. They played this little clip of Jonathan Turley saying, I don't believe the current evidence supports an impeachment. And that's all they played. Mm-hmm. Well, in a moment, because you listen right here to this program on this station, in a moment, you'll hear the entire statement that Jonathan Turley made. And believe it or not, Anderson Cooper was lying. It's 6:43.
Just this week, we uncovered 2 additional wires sent to Hunter Biden that originated in Beijing from Chinese nationals. This happened when Joe Biden was running for president of the United States, and Joe Biden's home is listed as the beneficiary address.
Yeah. That was James Comer again laying out all of that non-evidence evidence that we have here. And I just want to be well, I'll get to Jonathan Turley in a moment talking about the lies.
Yeah.
Because, show Biden lied. Who cares? Oh, no. These lies are not like your typical politician lies. He said that his family didn't get any money from China. Absolutely flat out. It's a lie, right? That's what he said. No money from China. The question isn't that he lied, which he did, obviously. The question is, why did he lie? Why did Joe Biden lie about his family making money? Because now they'll have you say, well, his son was engaged in business. No big deal. No. He lied because he knew how bad it looked. He lied because he knew that it pointed to nefarious dealings, because there's no reason why his son should be making money from the Chinese.
Because it would look like corruption, like influence peddling, like things that the American people would not ever support a president who did that.
That's right. All right, Jonathan Turley, as I told you, if you watch Anderson Cooper, they had this 3-second bite of him saying, I don't believe the current evidence supports an impeachment. And yes, he did say that yesterday, but that's not all he said. Here's the full clip, cut 14.
And I want to emphasize what it is that we're here today for. this is a question of an impeachment inquiry. It is not a vote on articles of impeachment. In fact, I do not believe that the current evidence would support articles of impeachment. That is something that an inquiry has to establish. But I also do believe that the House has passed the threshold for an impeachment inquiry into the conduct of President Biden.
There you go. So,
very important distinction there.
Right, which is the whole point here. Unlike the Democrats who actually moved right to an impeachment vote of Donald Trump without having a hearing.
That's right. No
He's
expert
saying,
witnesses, nothing.
That's right.
Exactly. I'm really glad that he made that distinction. And you know what? I think it gives some leeway saying, hey, more can come out. Based on the current facts, this is what I think, but more can come out. And I think we will continue to see more come out.
All right. So I had said I didn't watch all of it. You watched more. I asked you what the Democrats had to say. And I do have to admit, I did see this testimony. And boy, this is just priceless. Talk about a rising star for the Democrats. This woman, this is Representative Jasmine Crockett of Texas, cut 17.
But let me tell you something that was so disturbing as I walked in to this chamber today. As I prepared, I said, what is the crime? Because when you're talking about impeachment, you're talking about high crimes or misdemeanors. And I can't seem to find the crime. And honestly, no one has testified of what crime they believe the president of the United States has committed. But when we start talking about things that look like evidence, they want to act like they blind. They don't know what this is. These are our national secrets. Looks like in me. This looks like more evidence of our national secrets, say on a stage at Mar-a-Lago. When we're talking about somebody that's committed high crimes, it's at least indictments. Let's say 32 counts related to unauthorized retention of national security secrets, 7 counts related to obstructing the investigation, 3 false statements, 1 count of conspiracy to defraud the United States, falsifying business records, conspiracy to defraud the United States, 2 counts related to efforts to obstruct the vote certification proceedings, 1 count of conspiracy to violate civil rights, 23 counts related to forgery or false document statements, 8 counts related to soliciting, and I could go on because he's got 91 counts pending right now. But I will tell you what the president has been guilty of. He has unfortunately been guilty of loving his child unconditionally, and that is the only evidence that they have brought forward. And honestly, I hope and pray that my parents love me half as much as he loves his child. Until they find some evidence, we need to get back to the people's work, which means keeping this government open so that people don't go hungry in the streets of the United States. And
there you go. I give her credit for, she did this on a couple of different times, and I give her credit for speaking that fast without even taking a breath.
I give her credit for being able to do that and not busting up laughing. This is just beautiful. Can we play the one part again here? Cut A. Please.
But I will tell you what the president has been guilty of. He has unfortunately been guilty of loving his child unconditionally, and that is the only evidence that they have brought forward. And honestly,
it's just about a man's unconditional love for his son.
For a son who is committing a lot of alleged crimes. Okay, so we want our president to be someone who just turns a blind eye to their child, who is literally undermining everything they're trying to accomplish. Okay, I get that, Representative Crockett.
We say this as a joke sometimes when they lay out all of this crime, and then as a punchline, I'll say, well, this is really just about a man's undying love for his son. And I'm joking. She's
serious.
Think
it's real. Well, I've heard this time and time again, that this is what they come back to. Let Hunter Biden do what Hunter Biden does, because you know what, his dad is fine to support him because this is just a father's unconditional love. Wait a minute. When did the left remember the importance of fathers in their children's lives?
Thank you.
Ooh.
Thank you. As our friend and colleague Julie Gunlock put it yesterday, Democrats are suddenly appreciating the role of parents is kind of refreshing. You know, if it's important that a father has unconditional love for his son, maybe it's also important that parents have a say in, whether their son becomes a daughter. No, maybe. It's 6:53. Andy Biggs was in the room. He's one of the congressmen leading the charge on this impeachment. He joins us coming up.
Making sense of your world.
I agree with everything you're saying.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
My heart just breaks for what's going on.
Making sense of the news.